Thanks so much, Professor Chris, for giving the time, and it's a pleasure to have you here today. So, Professor Chris has been around a year since you started working here as a public diplomacy fellow and as a visiting professor. Could you please share your experiences and insights from these roles so far?
No, it's been a real pleasure for me to come back. First of all, this is my alma mater, so I graduated with a master's degree from GW. So it was really kind of just a nice chance for me to come back and contribute to a school that I attended. For us in the State Department, we get these opportunities to go on different assignments, and so this was considered an assignment by the State Department to come here and teach. And so more than anything, it's a great opportunity to reconnect with some faculty and individuals that I knew back when I was a student, but also just to see the changes that are taking place here on campus, how much international connectivity is here and it continues to grow, and to be able to participate in the discussions that are going on, to listen to the lectures, to teach, obviously. That's the principal reason I'm here to teach. But also to just engage in the general conversation that's going on at GW and look for ways to expand opportunities for our students.
Great, great. So speaking of your role as a public diplomacy fellow at IPDGC, you do bring a wealth of experience to the role. Could you elaborate on what this position in particular entails and what you hope to achieve or what you have been able to achieve so far?
Sure. Really, I'm here principally to teach, and so that's what I spend most of my time doing, teaching a public diplomacy class for undergraduate students. But I'm also able to do outreach with students that involves maybe talking about career in international affairs. So whether that's diplomacy or more broadly working internationally, so private sector work, civil society work, etc., to help students think about what they want to do as they're continuing their studies and taking those next steps. And then that offers me some time to do some one-on-one opportunities as well, to really go more in depth with students, to talk to them about what are the best next steps they might want to take if it's going to graduate school, or perhaps internships, or the types of jobs, or even applying for the Foreign Service exam and working as a diplomat. But then also, going and participating in programs that our international scholars are here doing, talking about their research, making some presentations about some of the work that I've done with faculty and students. But also really listening to the kind of the scholars, the professors we have here, to understand the cutting edge research that they're doing. That also really, I think, helps me think about the work that we do as diplomats, and thinking about maybe how we could do diplomacy a little differently in the future.
Given your experience in public affairs positions in various countries and your background in academia, how do you prepare students at GW to adapt their public diplomacy knowledge to diverse cultural contexts?
Sure, yeah, I think that's one of the big advantages we have at George Washington. It is a very international, very diverse environment here. We have a lot of international students, and I've always had international students in my class, and that's been, I think, really enriching for all the students to learn from one another. But also, it's not just me teaching classes, it's not just me that might be involved in some of these discussions. We've got the advantage of just, a few blocks down the road, the State Department is there, so I call upon some of my friends, colleagues to come in and maybe lecture and talk to the students as well. Or, just here within the area, we've got embassies from around the world and representation from other countries, and so I reach out to some of those embassies, have them come speak with our students, talk about perspectives from those countries as well. So I think all that's pretty enriching and an opportunity for our students to learn a lot. And, of course, we've got these international scholars that are here, professional exchange programs, academic exchange programs. And so, letting students know about them, number one, but also having some of those individuals come in and chat with our students, talk about their individual experiences, I think is enriching, and hopefully we can all gain and learn from one another. And at the end of the day, that's really the goal, right, is that mutual understanding.
You kind of already touched up on the next question that I was going to ask about how would you integrate your practical insights from the field into your teaching for students here at GW. But so I was looking at your biography, and then I did see that you also have experience in documentary filmmaking. Mm-hmm. So drawing from your multifaceted career, including your documentary filmmaking, teaching, and diplomatic service, Can you share how these experiences shape your view of the evolving landscape of public diplomacy, both in academia and on the field? And what advice in particular do you have for students who are interested to pursue a career in public diplomacy?
Sure. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, one of the advantages I've been able to have through my diplomatic career is also spend some time teaching and researching and writing and making a documentary, as you mentioned. And that really grew out of my work initially as a diplomat. So my first assignment, I was in the Dominican Republic. I discovered the story of a man named Ebenezer Bassett, who it turns out was our first African-American diplomat. 150 years ago, he was sent right after the U.S. Civil War to represent the U.S. in Haiti. And it was just a fascinating story to me, and it's one that I ended up doing some research and writing a book about, and then wanted to do a documentary about him, and so I released that a few years ago. But really, the Bassett story is important for a number of reasons. I think, number one, obviously, this was a man who integrated our diplomacy, the first African-American diplomat, and that was a hugely important milestone. But more important than that, even, really was his courage, his leadership. He was serving in Haiti during a time of civil war and unrest, and he was really just an extraordinary individual and leader who ended up saving thousands of Haitian lives during that war, taking a lot of great personal risk. And that leadership and that courage I found very inspiring, and I think that's something I brought forward in all my work and thinking about, how can we do the right thing? How do you stand up and make sure you're protecting, individuals that need help? But I also think about the work that Bassett did as an early advocate of human rights as part of foreign policy. And today it's a much more common discussion. Back then it wasn't, and so he was really kind of on the cutting edge of that. But it's just a constant reminder of the importance of those human rights issues, as we have, unfortunately, so many conflicts that continue in society today. And finally, Bassett's story I thought was interesting because as the first African-American diplomat, that legacy of diversity in foreign policy, I think, is hugely important. And the State Department's done a lot, I think, to try to recruit and retain a very diverse workforce. And so that's been important for me, and that's why I always try to do what I can to help the department make sure we're recruiting people from diverse backgrounds, that we've got ethnic, racial, religious, diversity of views, diversity of skills that really we need in diplomacy. And so I think that's one of the legacies of Bassett. And really, so it's a combination of things that I think continue to inspire us, and it's something I've continued to work on, expanding Bassett's story and thinking about those tenets of leadership that I want to actually exhibit, but also inspire others to be that next generation of diplomats too that will continue that great work. And so that's one of the advantages we really have of being here at GW. We've got this great community, this receptive community, a lot of students who've already done maybe some work in international affairs and really are thinking about kind of building their career and doing more. And so that's why they come, and that's what we're here to help them continue to do and succeed.
And is there any particular advices that you would give to students, your undergrad students in particular, who are planning to pursue a career in public diplomacy? Yeah,
sure. I think, Washington is just the fantastic place to do it, and GW gives us those opportunities. So there's so many events going on around town that are front page news, and they're happening here in our local neighborhood. So participating in events here on campus, participating with think tanks that are going on, having events around town, engaging with organizations that are very active here, and keeping up with the world events that we see right here on our doorstep. So I always encourage students to be involved in these organizations, to go out, to network, to meet people, and to continue to broaden their horizons and understanding of what's going on in the world, because at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones leading, and so they need to be prepared. And so that's what we're here to help them do, is be prepared and better leaders.
Sure. Thanks so much, Professor Chris. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you.